Alright guys, and welcome to a new video on this channel, and as you can see I have my KASHTIRA deck here, and this video is going to be about why I play the card that I play my KASHTIRA deck, because I kind of cracked the code in the sense of that I found a deck that I'm like extremely happy with, especially with the side deck, especially with the extra deck, and also with the main deck currently. There are always some interchangeable cards obviously, but it is very close to optimized in my honest like opinion, because I've played this deck for a while now and I can say with confidence that I'm very happy with the current version that I'm playing this deck. I think we should keep the extra deck and the side deck a little bit to the edge for now and then talk about the main deck first. Just what the cards do a little bit and why I play them at the ratios that I play them. Let's start with the most obvious first. Obviously it's Unicorn, right? I play 3 Unicorn, and reason is simply because this card is very strong. It's a 1-card combo, because Unicorn can get you CO, the CO gets you Fenrir, Fenrir gets you Rise Heart, your special Rise Heart activates the effect, and then you overlay to Shangri-La, you're at 4 summons, you're nip proof. This is really nice, and Unicorn enables that. Whenever I see Unicorn in my hand I'm very happy. And you wanna play like the most amount of copies of Unicorn that you can. Which also means that I'm playing 3 Pressure Planet together with the Terraforming, which makes 7 copies of KASHTIRA Unicorn. There's not much to be said about this card, so let's move on, because I think the choices are more into the extra deck and the side deck, but you know, I also have to talk about the main deck because it's very important in KASHTIRA. Yeah, then we have Fenrir, and the reason why I play Fenrir at 3 is obviously because you need to have like more good names. And Ogre is unfortunately not one of them currently, in my opinion. Even though you have like a lot of one-offs, and Ogre would hit like a lot of one-off, but it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But yeah, speaking of Fenrir, it's a really strong interruption, especially when paired with Scarecrow KASHTIRA. It can be very broken to play into boards. I just had this at this local. I just come from a local right now. I won the local, and the last game against Melodious, I could like push through his board because of Fenrir and Scarecrow KASHTIRA. But yeah, Fenrir is a wonderful card that you can use to gain advantage because of his effect, because you can also like get other monsters apart from Rise Heart. You can also get a Unicorn that you can normal summon with Burst. You can get a Scarecrow KASHTIRA that you can special summon banishing like a CO or something. So Fenrir is very versatile, and he can cut off the enemy of so many like follow-up if you banish the right like monsters face down. But yeah, obviously Fenrir is a 3 of, same with Unicorn, just that Fenrir is not a 1-card combo, and it's like better paired up with like other cards. Anyways, so 3 Rise Heart are very obvious in the current format, in my opinion, because I play Baguska and Abyss Dweller in the extra deck as Exceed summons, which are level 4. I'll talk about these when I come to them, but I also want to talk about Rise Heart. The usual ban with Rise Heart is Burst, because then you can like be very creative and like in ways to get this burst back to your hand, in case you don't have it yet. And even if you have it, you still usually do it, because that just means like a lot of follow-up, and even if the enemy somehow destroys this burst, it still doesn't matter, because you have like another Rise Heart in hand that can banish the CO to get back the burst, etc. So yeah, like Rise Heart, I feel like, and this is something that I've I heard it in some video. I unfortunately don't know where I heard it, but I would have loved to give that guy a shout out who said this. But the more Rise Heart, like the more you play KASHTIRA, the better Rise Heart gets. And I was like, no, that doesn't make sense, the statement, but like in hindsight, playing a lot of KASHTIRA, it makes so much sense. And I would really love to give this guy a shout out who said this. So if you know who that was, then please leave a comment down below, and then I can give a shout out. But yeah, Rise Heart, you just banish 3 cards face down from the opponent deck when he resolves his effect, which is so inherently overpowered, because currently you have like a lot of one-offs ongoing, and we have to talk about Ogre really, because the thing about Ogre is it's not a bad card per se, but the thing about Ogre is that his effect does not matter when it should matter. What I mean by that is you would need to special summon Ogre and activate something like Unicorn, Fenrir, Wraithos in order to get like advantage to your hand, in order for the enemy to activate something like Ash Blossom or something. So Ogre can actually activate the effect, so you can look into your opponent like top deck and decide which cards he gets. Then Ogre is insane, but if you cannot trigger that on your own, he gets kinda ass because you have him on your field. You have him on your field, and then it's just he's there. I mean, he's a nice beatdown, and he's like really nice in like grind game, but initially and like starting with him, he's shit. And Ogre can serve like a trap, which can be preparation, which can be Big Bang, which are both like really strong traps. Don't get me wrong, but they are kind of outdated, which is like the problem that I have with Ogre. But yeah, coming back to this Right Heart, you can literally just normal summon a Right Heart. You can special summon a Right Heart. Yeah, the funny thing is you can also special summon Right Heart of his own like effect, which means you can like normal summon a Right Heart. If you have another in your hand, you can special summon it. It's not like locked into having like other monsters in Right Heart. So yeah, this is really strong. Anyways, I would never cut this guy because he's really strong, and also I don't play that many names. As I said, I cut Ogre, and I've also cut like Tier Cash. Because I just don't think it's valuable enough to play, unlike above average, who's someone that I really like in the KASHTIRA community, who plays a very different approach of this deck. I'll link his comment down below in the commentary, not in the commentary, in the video description, so you can look him up if you want to. But he's played also a very nice approach to KASHTIRA, which I really like. A more engine-focused approach with like less hand traps and stuff, and a lot of the things he says make sense, but I think in the current format you should play it a little bit different. But yeah, Scarecrow KASHTIRA is a weird card, because sometimes you have it in your hand and you're like, damn, I didn't need that. And sometimes you have it in your hand and it literally out-wins you the game. I had this today again in my locals against the Melodios guy, and I drew the Scarecrow KASHTIRA for turn. I hope to do like a board break or something, but then something make like a light bulb like light up in my head, and I was like, oh wait, I can like actually break this board with Scarecrow KASHTIRA. So that was really nice. And Scarecrow KASHTIRA also, like, it's not an activated effect, which a lot of these monsters sometimes are like immune to. So this just outs a lot of things. It outs like a Chaos Angel. It outs like so many other things. And the crazy thing is you don't have to attack with Scarecrow KASHTIRA. You can literally just have a Fenrir and have the Scarecrow KASHTIRA here and just attack with the Fenrir. And it counts as a KASHTIRA monster, so the opponent, on attack declaration, the opponent's effect is negated, so you can actually like target it or something. So like this is very strong, this combination of cards. And Scarecrow KASHTIRA, you can search it off Fenrir in order to play around the bureau, because it can, if it would be, for example, your 5th summon, but then you keep it in your hand and you have like Theosis with a burst, and then you just like, the enemy, like before the enemy hits the battle phase, you can just get it out here. Also it auto-wins against Tenpai if you have only KASHTIRA monsters on your board, which is also very strong. So yeah, this card is crazy. Anyways, next let's talk about one of the, if not the most broken KASHTIRA card, apart from Fenrir and Unicorn, obviously, which is Burst. The funny thing is, when I started to play KASHTIRA, whenever I used Burst, I felt like a new effect was spawning on this card. And it sounds silly, but this card is so strong. Like, it does so many things. And people who are unfamiliar, this is something you should note. People that are unfamiliar with how broken, with just how broken KASHTIRA Burst is, they don't respect it. They look at the card and they're like, ah, yeah, you can special summon, yeah, it's fine. And you're like, yeah, if you activate a spell, you're dead. If you activate like a spell and I just banish like your follow-up, etc. from the graveyard combo, your engine pieces, they look at birds and they're like, wait, that's broken. And then I just normal summon a Fenrir and they're like, you can do that. I'm like, yeah, I can with birds. And they pick up the card again and they're like, this can't be. What is this card? And believe me, I was in the same boat when I first encountered KASHTIRA birds when I started to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But I've grown attached to this card a lot, and in the current format, because of Yubel, Tenpai, and Snake Eye being hit a little bit, Ghost Ogre is a strong card that is being played in a lot of main decks right now, or I believe it will be played in the future in a lot of main decks. And burst kinda dies to a Ghost Ogre, so you kinda have to play around the enemy having Ghost Ogre sometimes, even when you have burst, which is kinda hard to do sometimes if you run a lot of hand trap like I do. But I think in a more engine focused approach, like above average would do, for example, resolving this burst is something that is not as important. But when you play a lot of hand traps and for like a lot of board breakers maybe, then you want this burst to resolve. So use it as your last like piece of like follow up and push through, so you can actually like demolish those kind of boards. Anyways, I don't really have to say much about burst, because whenever you draw burst, it's never bad. Even if you draw multiple, it's not bad. Because you can just use it in the grind game. And people, once they realize how strong burst actually is, they wanna get rid of burst. And then it's already too late for them to realize that you already banished it off the deck right hard. You added the Scarecrow and Theosis is here, and they're like, yeah, if I pop this burst, he's just gonna get the other burst. And then they're like thinking, okay, should I actually like destroy this burst or not? And then they get into like an internal conflict, because this card makes people question a lot of things. And also going forward, I want to talk about one interaction with burst that you should have in mind when you have burst on your field and a KASHTIRA monster. Then you can never die to Fiendsmith unless you have Ghost Ogre. And this is something I want you to acknowledge when you play against like better players in a OTS tournament or in a regional or even a YCS. If you go to one and you're like up in the higher round with like 6 wins, 1 losses, etc., and you play against the guy who plays Fiendsmith cards, and he, for example, plays the Fiendsmith Engraver, discards it to get tracked, activate track to get Lurry, discard Lurry, chainlink 1 Lurry, and on resolution you could activate Burst, and then get rid of the Fiendsmith Engraver, the Fiendsmith tracked, and the Fabled Lurry, which completely cuts off the whole Fiendsmith engine for them. Unless they obviously have more follow-up on the hand, which is pretty rough, because if you cut them off those cards, they have problems. If people do that and activate Fiendsmith Engraver, you can be very sure that they have a Ghost Ogre in hand. Or maybe they're just hoping that, or like they don't know how burst functions, but people that are good at the game know how burst works, and they are not being catched off guard by it or something, they just have Ghost Ogre, Ghost Ogre in hand. So be careful when you use, if you want to use burst like that. In a local, you can probably scare a new Fiendsmith player with that, but in stronger environments, they probably have Ghost Ogre if they play into that. Next up, we have KASHTIRA Theosis. It's also something that I, over the time, have grown more attached to than I was before, when I started to play KASHTIRA. Theosis is very simple. It just makes you special summon a monster with a different name and different like attribute, which is kind of strong. However, Theosis loses to some things, which is, for example, Ash Blossom. It also loses to stuff that gets rid of your monster that you targeted with Theosis, because then the monster is not on the field anymore, and Theosis doesn't have like a valid target anymore. Which is weird, because it targets for cost, but you know, that doesn't really matter here, because then the monster is not on board anymore, so you don't have the requirement met for Theosis, and then Theosis just, you know, lands on the grave. Which sucks, but that's just something you have to think about when you play Theosis. And yeah, you can see that I bumped up on 3 Theosis again, and the reason for that is simple. Protocol parity got like limited in the banned and limited list. That was effective since the start of September, and yeah, the protocol parity hit just it left 2 cards in the deck questionable because you don't know what you're gonna fill it up with, and Prosperity was a wonderful piece of consistency. And so losing that, we just had to bump it up with something, which was the Theosis for me, because I've never really was like against playing 3 Theosis. I just know that Craig Smith, for example, played 2 in the recent deck list that he made, or like deck profile. But I love Theosis in the grind game, and I don't mind drawing Theosis, because there are weird hands where you have Scareclaw, Theosis, and Riseheart. You just normal Riseheart, banish Burst, and then you are not like locked in anything, and then you activate Scareclaw, banishing Theosis, and Theosis banishes, get back the Burst, and then you have 2 monsters. And even if the Riseheart get negated, which they don't, because if that's your only play, they don't negate it. And usually they don't, and then the Theosis already had like value even without using it, and then you're not extinct locked. You have Burst, then you can, for example, you can make a rank 7, but you can also link it off to like SP Little Knight or like Haggard Lizardoid if you have another Kashtira monster that you can special. But then that questions why you wouldn't do that in the first place. But anyways, you can use Theosis in a lot of like different scenarios, and usually you would just banish off the burst by the effect of Riseheart. So in the next turn, in the follow-up turn, you can do the same with Theosis and get back the burst for like more grind gamey plays. But yeah, Theosis is a card that I bumped up on 3, and ever since I did not like dislike it. It's really strong. Next up we have Pressured Planners, Resource. Together with the terraforming. The thing here is that I've seen on the Kashtira Discord and in the Kashtira community some people that cut like 1 planet or like the terraforming because they don't want to see planet too often. The thing is, planet is your strongest card because planet inevitably gets you to your 1 card combo, which is Unicorn. So there's literally no reason to not play planet at 3 off. And same with like terraforming. I've even thought about playing set rotation, just so you have like more access to like more planets, but it would sometimes break in my deck, which in like testing, and it came up, and so I didn't want to really play it. But yeah, terraforming together with triple Resource is something that I urge everyone to do. Resource also is really strong because it manipulates ATK and defense in a way that people are sometimes not expecting it, sometimes are playing into it, which is extremely funny sometimes. And the other thing is that Resource has an effect similar to Primeval Planet Polar Rhino, in case you've saw Telement or seen Telement or have played Telement. That if a fusion gets, like if a Telement monster gets shuffled back to the deck, you can pop a card. With Resource it's a little different because it works together with Xenoy, which is the monster that special something which was in the Kashtira archetype, I mean, which specials something from the deck inside of the Kashtira archetype. But if a Xenoy on the field uses the fact you can activate Resource to pop a card on the field, which is very strong. And because it can be used under Skill Drain, it can be used under Baguska. Even though the Xenoy got negated, you can still activate Resource and stuff like that. I've had this happen today in the local, so I just remembered. But yeah, triple Resource together with the terraforming is always gonna be the play. I would never like get rid of these cards. They're like way too strong. Like field spells have always been extremely strong, and especially Resource, because you get like into your Kashtira engine, which is so strong. You have some flex spots in this deck, and I want to talk about them afterward, because I feel like talking about them now would defeat the purpose of them being flex spots. Next up we have the one-off Pot of Prosperity. I think Pot of Prosperity is completely mandatory, and the good thing at least is that now it's at 1, it cannot break multiples in your hand, which I guess is a good thing, because with Kashtira sometimes you just break and it sucks. But on the other hand, you don't see it as often anymore, which is also like a really huge downside to it. However, the thing about Kashtira is you can play it in 2 ways. You can play it with a Heat Soul, which I do not recommend at all, and you can play it as a toolbox, which is what I do and what I recommend. And if you play Kashtira as a toolbox, you always have like a target to banish with prosperity that you don't need in the current like game state. So banishing this with prosperity, like always is like it's never bad, you know. It's unlike another decks like Snake Eye. Snake Eye cannot play prosperity because they just die to like if they banish like 6 cards from the extra deck, fade down, they just die. So yeah, prosperity is something that I urge you to play. You never draw cards if you don't have like Heat Soul, and you always like add from deck with the Unicorn, with the Fenrir, with the banish the others get birth or like other thing. The only thing that draws actually talent. So, but yeah, the prosperity, always play it like as a one-off. It's unfortunately it's at 1 right now, but you should always play it. I want to talk about Caught By because I think, in my humble opinion, Caught By is not a flex spot. Even though you could put it there. But this deck has 3 flex spots in my opinion right now, and Caught By is not one of them. I think Caught By is extremely strong. You are not seeing Dimension Shifter every game. You just don't. So Caught By, going first, deletes hand traps. You can just play, like, sometimes you draw 3 hand traps, a Caught By, and a Unicorn, or like double resource, Unicorn, Ash Blossom, and like Impermanence. And then you activate resource, and they ash it, you special Unicorn, and they try to like Veiler it, and then you just Caught By the Veiler, because you didn't need to do that with the Ash Blossom, you just need the Unicorn to resolve. And if they decide to throw an Imperm after that, you're like, okay, that's fine, because I have like more hand traps right now in my hand that are like fucking you. So Caught By is always good, and even under Shifter it doesn't matter, because currently there is no deck except Tenpai that can actually play through Shifter. That is like in any way, shape or form meaningful in a way that it can OTK you or something. You will always get a turn with Shifter, unless they have like an insane hand, I guess. And then Caught By is so strong as follow-up. I cannot even comprehend how strong it is, because setting a Caught By in a very simplified game state and activating it in the correct spot is just game ending. I've Caught By Fiendsmith combos and stuff. It's crazy. I think Caught By is really strong, and you shouldn't miss out on that one. Talking about hand traps, there are a lot of them, because I just play a lot of them. So because I think hand traps is currently the best approach to play KASHTIRA. So yeah, let's talk about the best one. Our girl Shifter. May she never get banned, hopefully. But yeah, Diamond Shifter is one of these cards that is just inherently overpowered, obviously. Against a lot of decks, it acts as a turn skip. Not per se, they don't skip the turn entirely, but they still make something. But it's just not as strong, because Shifter just makes everything on the graveyard, and a lot of decks cannot cope with that. And you actually get a benefit out of that. I cannot explain how often I used Theosis and then it got banned, but I banished something before with Wraithheart something, and then I just got it back and it was 3+1, just because I activated Shifter. So going Shifter is not always a -1, because, I mean, you fucking resolve Shifter, right? So yeah, I don't think we have to talk about Shifter too long. It's just so strong in KASHTIRA. And I should also mention, I play 40 cards, so, which is why I have like not a lot of flex spots here in the deck, because I want to see Shifter all the time, because it's just a turn skip. And this is something you should do if you play KASHTIRA, and you should acknowledge that this is a turn skip. The next card is Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. You can activate Ash Blossom like under Shifter, which is insanely strong, obviously. And Ash Blossom just fucks up so many like decks that just die to one Ash Blossom. Sometimes it's Branded, sometimes it's Infernoid, and stuff like that. They just sometimes die to one Ash, and Ash is always going to be a meaningful hand trap. And you can activate under Dimension Shifter, which is something that I've tried to do in this like deck, which is hard, because sometimes you just have to play conflicting hand traps that conflict with Shifter, and I have a lot of them here. But I'll explain my reasoning. But yeah, Ash, I don't have to say much about Ash Blossom. It's just really strong. It hits a lot of like decks in like every kind of spot imaginable. The reason why I play, but I don't believe that Ash Blossom alone is enough. It doesn't do the cut. If you just play one Ash Blossom, or like 3 Ash Blossom, but that's it, I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good. You should play Board Breakers then, because they have like a better purpose. But Ash Blossom paired with other hand traps make this inherently stronger. Now let's talk about the other flex spot in a second, which is Ghost Mourner and Ghost Bill. I'll talk about those in a second. Let's talk about the other mandatory, or cards that I think are mandatory. Currently, Effect Veiler is just so strong. The good thing about Effect Veiler is you can use it multiple times a turn, because it's a very old card, so it's not once per turn. So you can use it multiple times a turn, which is insanely like strong. And it also makes up for a really nice combo that I'll show you once I get to the extra deck. But yeah, that's also not much to say about Effect Veiler. It's just really strong. Obviously conflicts with Shifter, and this is something I think I have to address. Also, you see the draw and lock burden. I think I just have to talk about that. Because draw and lock bird and Effect Veiler are hand traps and conflict with Shifter, because you have to specifically send them to the graveyard, which is impossible under Dimension Shifter. So how do you do this? Or like, why am I doing this? So I think Draw and Lockbird is one of the strongest hand traps currently, because sometimes it acts as a turn ender, even like better than Dimension Shifter. Because Ubel can still set up a board with Shifter a little bit. Snake Eye can do an IP Masquerena with like a Poplar in the spell trap zone or something with a Temple with Shifter and stuff like that. They can still do some sort of interruption. Draw and Lockbird inherently cuts decks off adding stuff from their deck, which is so strong. Fiendsmith in hand, they can't do that anymore. Poplar, like, if someone has Snake Eye Ash, the Fiendsmith card, like one Fiendsmith, 2 hand traps, and like another card in his hand, for example, a Diabellstar or the Black Witch, or a Wanted or something. No matter what they activate, you draw it, and then like multiple cards in their hand that usually like were like a push through hand traps just become dead. And so I think draw in this current format is a non-negotiable. I think it's really strong, even paired with Dimension Shifter. And for Effect Veiler, it's just hard for me to cut this card because of the interaction that I have with a specific extra deck card that I'll talk about once we get there. Because I think that's needed in KASHTIRA currently, especially if you play that many hand traps. I think activating Veiler multiple times a turn, it comes up obviously, and it's so strong that I don't want to cut it now, even though it conflicts with Shifter, which sometimes is hard. But again, I told you before, Diamond and Shifter usually makes you like survive one turn at least. So even if you draw Veiler together with Shifter, you can keep it for the following turn, and it will make it will matter. Same was called by. It will matter. For the last card, it's Infinite Impermanence. I don't think I have to speak much about Imperm. You can going first, you can just set it. Going second, it's so broken because you can activate from your hand. It does not play into Triple Tactic Talent. It's just very strong. It's a very strong card that I don't need to talk about. You should play this. But please do not play into the Imperm columns of your opponent. And yeah, I think now it's time to talk about the 3 flex spots that I have here. Let me talk first about the reasoning why I play them. The first reason you may ask, why is it one-offs? Why? This is because Above Average has this one like theory of one-offs, and I have been following this theory for quite a while, even before I watched a video of him explaining it. And then when he did that, I tried to do that with KASHTIRA too, and it just makes sense for me. It just made sense for me to do these like one-offs, because these are both once per turn, same as Talent. And Talent is not always live. Sometimes you go second and they can just break board because you've hand trapped them to death without them even using a monster effect. Sometimes you go first and they don't activate a monster effect because they're on a rogue deck that doesn't play a lot of hand traps, or they're on board breakers. So Talent just gets shit if it's the wrong format. I think pre-Banlist, if you go into a bigger tournament, Talent is good. But currently there's like too much like variety going on. I don't think it's good playing more than one Talent. But the reason why I still play it, because going second you can just do a lot of things. Going first, sometimes you just get hand trapped and then talent acts as a way to push through by drawing cards, or you can look into the hand, which is also very strong. I do think that one talent is always good and like meaningful, but I would never play more than one. Not in the current like iteration of the meta. And now you may ask why I have these two. The first reason is obviously, I said it before, they're once per turn. And the second reason is that a card like Ghost Bell, if you activate Diamond Shifter, there will be people that call, or they try to call by the Shifter, so the effect of Shifter get negated, and you can Ghost Spell the call by, which makes your Shifter alive again, which is something that comes up, which is why I play the Ghost Spell. But I also play it because in the current like iteration of the game and the current like format that we're like approaching, there will be a lot of special summons from the grave. And whenever special summons from the grave happen, you just Ghost Spell it. And Ghost Spell is one of these cards. It's never really strong in the meta, I feel like. But when you see a Ghost Spell in the right like situation, it sometimes is a turn ender. Because that's the one push, the one extension this deck needed in order to full combo. And you just say no. And this is something Ghost Spell has been doing for me in so many different ways, that I can never like cut the Ghost Spell out of my deck. I wanna keep this as one of no matter what. And the Ghost Mourner is something that I've been I've been trying to explain to people why I play this, but the more I used it, the more I feel like I need to abandon this card. So this is probably something I'll cut in the future for like Ghost Ogre or something, even though that would conflict with Shifter 2, which is something I don't like, because I like that this doesn't like conflict with Shifter. And if you do the math, I am not going to do the math for you now, but you can go to yu-gi-oh-party.com and do the math for yourself. But playing like 7 Monster Negates is a little bit better mathematically than 6, because you're seeing it more often in your starting hand, which always like makes sure that you see one of them at least in your starting hand, which is very strong, because you have Imperm, you have Veiler, which is 6 already, and then this would be the 7th one. But I'm thinking about like changing this up and try to see if I can find like another card for it. And with this iteration of the deck, we are at 17 hand traps. Some couple of the cards and the rest is engine cards, which is something that I really have been enjoying to play. And the deck is obviously 40 cards, as I said before, and I think it's just wonderful. But yeah, let's take the deck away and come to the extra deck, because the extra deck is it's stacked. It's stacked, and I honestly believe this current extra deck is crazy. Alright, let's talk about the one card that is like, yeah, one of the very strong board breakers that, or like cards that act as a board breaker and some kind of like security net for you, which is Utopic Dragon Future. You do it with multiple ways, I can explain later, but the way this works, it is monster negate. And if the monster that has been like negated is on the field, you can take control of it forever, which is very strong. And also, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. That is extremely strong too. It just won me like the Melodious matchup, which I was like talking about earlier. And his ATK is 3000, which is really strong. The only like weird thing is that it's like a Draco Future, but it's a warrior. But apart from that, this card is crazy strong, and if you play Zeus, which I don't right now, you can also make a really huge Zeus with it. But yeah, you do this with a Utopic Future, and you do the Utopic Future with a couple of rank 7s that are not number monsters. But yeah, Utopic Future is extremely like the Utopic Dragon Future is extremely like strong as a board breaker, because and a secured net, as I talked about before. And the more you play this, the sooner you realize that this is so strong and so necessary in KASHTIRA. Next up, my boy Typhon. He has saved me so many times. I cannot even explain how many times he saved me, because you can just do the Typhon, and obviously you cannot special summon or like summon in general afterwards, which does not matter too much. You just put this guy up here, and then detach a material and hand like give something back to the hand or the deck, the extra deck, depending on which kind of card, and it's non-target. And this is something not a lot of people know this. When I activate Typhon and they're like, okay, what do you target? I'm like, it's non-target, and they're like, oh, wait a second, and then they think what to do, because yeah, a lot of people forget this is non-target. There is one interaction that I want to make you aware of that is something that can inevitably fuck you up if you don't think about it. If you have pressured Planet's resource, the Typhon will inevitably get 80k. And as you can see on the Typhon, it has 2900 attack, and with pressured Planet's resource, it will get 100 attack, even if it's the only monster on the board, because it's dark, so you cannot use the effect of Typhon under pressured Planet's resource. I just want you to know that, because it has come up for me in the future, in the past, I mean, and you're like just doing the Typhon and you think you have a play, and then it's like, oh wait, I can't even activate the effect. Talking about the next card, that is something I got recommended in the KASHTIRA Discord. Shout out to Weather Girl if you're seeing this. This card is crazy. It's batshit crazy. Blade has 3 effects. Let me go through all of them. The first one is obviously not the first one, but you make it with 2 level 7, as obvious as it is. And once per turn, it's the soft one per turn, by the way. Once per turn, you can detach a material from this card and destroy 2 cards. One from your hand or field, and one that the enemy controls. This, my friend, is non-target destruction, which is extremely strong and valuable. His second effect is that you can banish 2 fire and or dragon monsters from your hand or your graveyard and special this card from your graveyard. So this guy can just be special from the graveyard and act as a fodder for utopic future, because it's not a number monster. It says Blaze, it's not a number monster. And the third effect is if he then does this special summon effect and leaves the field, he gets shuffled back into the extra deck, which makes him live again, because you can make it again. And remember, it's a soft once per turn, you can just do it again. This card is honestly crazy, and with 2800 attack, it's also very strong. This card has been crazy for me the last couple of days, and I urge you to play this and try this out if you play KASHTIRA. The next crazy card is Dark Armed Dragon of Annihilation. I don't have to talk much about Dark Armed. You can just detach something, destroy something, and then banish a card. You can like banish Theosis. You can do so much. Like if you go second, you always go through the Theosis usually, and then you make Dark Armed. You detach something, and then Theosis. Like you banish it, and then you detach something again, and you banish the Theosis, and then Theosis at the back. Do you have like more like follow-up or like extension, which just makes this card so strong in the current like environment, I feel like. And also it's not like one per turn or something. You can just use this with as many times as you want, as long as you have materials, obviously, and card to banish in the graveyard. But yeah, Dark Armed is crazy. It's a crazy card, and I cannot believe that that guy is legal. Yeah, one Flare Metal Dragon. A spoiler alert, by the way, you don't play this guy for time. You might think so, because it usually seems like a time card, but actually it's not. It's just a like finisher card. Sometimes you just do like Unicorn, Scarecrow, and Fenrir, and you try to attack for a game, but the enemy survives with like 500 or 600 LP. If you have resources, they don't, but if you don't have resources, they survive. And then you can just make this guy, and obviously hope that the enemy doesn't top deck an imperm or something, which is why you try to keep something on the field if you do that. But yeah, this actually usually ends up as, because you play like so many hand traps, you saw how many hand traps I play in my deck. Usually your enemy doesn't like, the games don't go into time. So usually this never comes up in time, but sometimes people play slow and then you just make this in time. It happens, it's shit, but usually I would side deck this card like this, but for like game 3 if it goes into time, or like game 2 if it's a very longer endgame in game 1 or something. But it never really goes into time. It actually is used as a finisher per se. So yeah, very strong card, and you can also banish it for Blaze. Same with Dark Armed, which is crazy. Like I have like make SP with Dark Armed and then get Blaze back and then overlay to the Drago Future, and like it's batshit crazy. The next card is Gradial. It's a number card, which means you cannot use it for Utopic Future. What this card does is it grabs something from the enemy graveyard and attaches it, and then you detach something, and whatever attributes are under the card and this card, they cannot be destroyed by activated effects from monsters that have the same attribute or by battle, which makes it very strong into Tenpai. Because you can just put it in the defense mode and grab a Tenpai when he needs it. And then, for example, with the Fadra special summon something and you just attach it. And Boiler. You never die again, Tenpai. It's really strong. Can be used into other decks like Branded or Tearlament as well. You don't make this guy as often anymore, I feel like, but when you need this card, it's crazy good. And especially with Tenpai being one of the stronger decks in the next upcoming format, I think having this card in your deck is really nice. And I feel like not a lot of people are going to be on going second approaches, so if someone lets you first, it's usually Tenpai. And I've also made these like blind if people let me first, and it always kind of pays off because it's usually always Tenpai. Next up, the Dragosack. It's one of these guys you can make the Utopic Future with. And sometimes, it's funny, sometimes I make Dragosack and spawn the 2 tokens, which means that they're just there. And the enemy has to like destroy them in the battle, and it makes me kind of like live a turn sometimes. And yeah, like this guy has multiple usages. Obviously, you can tribute himself to kill skill drain or something, which also like out skill drain other floodgates, which is really strong. And obviously he makes the future, and then obviously the Drago Future. It's also a pop, which is really strong, just like Dark Armed. Then you have number 11, Big Eye. Big Eye is one of these cards that it just, once it resolves with the right target, you auto-win the game. Because a lot of people don't know that Big Eye will keep the monster even if you press the end phase. Or if you like give turn to your opponent. People don't realize that they're like, okay, I'm getting my monster back, and then they I've had people losing games because they thought they get the monster back, and then they like combo in a way that they think the monster getting back to them, but it doesn't. And then they're just like, what the fuck, I thought this worked like that. No, it doesn't. Anyway, next card, Shangri-Era. The reason why I only, as you can see, I only play one Shangri-Era. By the way, everything card in this extra deck is a one-off. Because I play like a huge toolbox, as I said before. A one-off Shangri-Era because it's not like as crazy as before anymore. And sometimes, as I said, you make Gradial sometimes going first or something. But usually it's a Shangri-Era or one of these level 4s. Because I always try to not play into Nibiru, and Shangri-Era makes me have a lot of interruptions even when not playing into Nibiru, which is something I really like. And also something that I want to tell you guys, which is something that I've come across multiple times when I played KASHTIRA, now that I've played it very often. In my opinion, if you play around Nibiru, if you do my like approach to this like deck, never play Shangri-Era in the extra mounted zones. Always put it like in the main mounted zone in one of these 3. So you're not like playing into the anima zones. Because the reason of this is sometimes you need to do an SP, but you also want to keep your Shangri-Era on the field. So you just have the Shangri-Era here, and then you make SP, but if the Shangri-Era would be here, then you had to use the Shangri-Era, because you cannot link summon here, you need to link summon here. And so putting Shangri-Era in the main mounted zone is, in my opinion, better. Obviously, it gives your opponent the choice of using the link zone, but that usually doesn't, like that hardly matters. But yeah, Shangri-Era, a lot of grind game. Sometimes people forget that this thing is not destroyable unless like it has no materials anymore. It just special summons something from the deck, which makes your enemy need to interact with it. And even if this guy is negated by an imperm or something, or like an effect failure or something, you can still try to activate the effect. It still gets negated, but if you have resource on your field, then you can activate the effect of resource to pop something, even if this gets negated, which is really strong. You can out things like Baguska, you can out Floodgate with it, etc. And the enemy gets catch off guard by it. So yeah, Shangri-La is a card that you need to play. But yeah, it's not as strong. And all like it. Not what do you mean? It's not as strong. It's very strong, but it's not as strong as it once was before when Diablo this was there, or like Arise Hut was there. It's still a very strong card, and it's a banish fodder for Blaze, because it's fire, obviously. So you usually make the Shangri-La with a Rise Hut. So if the Shangri-La dies, you have a Rise Hut and a Shangri-La in the graveyard. And you never really get the Shangri-La back because you cannot get it back with Burst. So it's dead in your graveyard, but Blaze makes it have even usage in the graveyard, which is so strong. Shout out to Blaze again, because this guy is just like it's just so broken. I don't understand. Anyways, let me talk about the level 4s next, which is Abbot, Dweller, and Baguska. The reason for Baguska is usually do a blind first if you don't know what you're playing again. And the enemy has to, like, they need to have an out for Baguska, which is sometimes really hard to like get into. And yeah, Dweller is obviously again like graveyard heavy matchup, and Dweller is also really strong into like Yubel, which is like the thriving force in this like current format. And Yubel not being able to use graveyard effects makes the deck actually extremely vulnerable to like a lot of cards that you own and have. So making Dweller sometimes is even better than making Baguska, even going like first in something, even blind, because if you're like in a top cut in a like OTS tournament or a regional, or maybe you're just in your small local and you know that the guy plays Yubel or the guy plays Tenpai, and even again Tenpai, a Dweller is really good if you have more interruption on your board or in your hand. And Tenpai can easily get rid of Baguska, but they cannot do nothing against the Dweller unless they imperm in the draw phase. Which you can play around, by the way. You can just like wait. You don't do Dweller in the draw phase. You just wait until they have something on the board so they can't imperm. So they need to imperm the Dweller in the draw phase, and then you chain Dweller. So it doesn't matter. But yeah, this is a rank 4 engine, and obviously sometimes you do Baguska, sometimes you do Dweller. I don't really have to say anything here. The cards are just really strong, and I would really urge you to play them because they come up in a great amount, in my opinion. Let's talk about the links first, because I feel like Omega needs a lot of time for its own. So let's talk about SP first, because SP is very simple. It's SP. It's so strong. You can, if you cannot make UDF, which is Utopic Dragon feature, you can just use a Dark Arm that has no materials anymore as link fodder for SP to banish something in the main phase 2. And stuff like that. Like SP is really, really strong, and even though I don't make SP as often, it's still a card that is, or like a force to be reckoned with. And a lot of people are like aware of SP and also about the tech out effect from SP. So this is like still a very strong card, and it also lets you play around the bureau in case you have full engine on your hand, need to play forward. You can basically make SP, and then yeah. And then when the enemy tried to Nibiru, you can just SP 2 things away, and then Nibiru just kills 1 or 0 depending on what you have on board. So yeah, SP is also really strong, and even though it doesn't come up as often because you use TO, that you use Rise Hard, which exceed locks you sometimes, SP is still a very strong card that you should play, in my opinion, if you have the money. But it gets reprinted soon in a week in the 10th, so be sure to pick up your SP by then. And the last monster, the last link monster, but not the last card in the extra, the last link monster is Haggard Lizardoid. It's a TCG only card that has been released in Legacy of Destruction. It's a card that, in my opinion, is mandatory. Because sometimes you will face people who put stuff on your board. May it be tokens with Runic Plunder. May it be something like an IP from Sprite. It can be so many other things. People can put stuff on your board which makes you unable to special summon Unicorn, special summon Fenrir. And you play enough hand traps you saw that you play enough hand traps to just normal summon something, get rid of it going second, do Haggard Leather Doors, or Leather Doors I guess its name is, and then activate the effect to banish it, and draw one card of your deck and make the decay to 800, which is insanely strong. And you should think about having at least one of these guys, which can be Donner, like Dagger for Hire, or Haggard Leather Doors. I use this one because it draws me one more card, which is really strong, because it basically makes up for the hand trap or the Rise Heart that I needed to normal summon in order to make this. And yeah, that is like one of the reasons why I played this. And yeah, the last card here is Psyframe Omega. And Omega is a wonderful card. And obviously you're asking, how do you do Omega? You obviously do it with a Vader and any KASHTIRA monster. And this doesn't come up as often, but I've kind of tried to find a reason why, like I've tried to find a card that makes me able to use Dimension Shifter and also having this like a usage of this effect Vader. Let's say this is your hand going first. You obviously activate Shifter because it's really strong. It negates like effect Vader, it negates Drone Lockbird because they cannot use it anymore. It negates Ghost Ogre, which can matter in case you need to use Burst. It negates a lot of things preemptively and makes you play through hand traps or interruption in case they have it. And then you special the Unicorn and activate Race Sauce. In case they ash the Race Sauce, you still have the Unicorn to resolve. And let's say they ash the Race Sauce. That is one interruption less. And then you activate the effect of Unicorn. And they imperm it. Now, let's say that this is the hand of the enemy. And they have used Ash Blossom. They have used an imperm. This is the opponent's hand. And now you're stuck with an effect Veiler that you cannot use in the opponent turn because of Shifter. And you're stuck with a Fenrir that you cannot summon. So you literally only have Unicorn and Wraith Sauce. Again, 4 card, because for turn he will draw another card. That is not enough to push through. And so I thought, okay, what if we could like push through? So I normal summon Vader, you banish these cards, and then you make Omega. And even if the opponent tried to like imperm this Omega preemptively or Mourner or something, you can like also always like activate the effect instantly. And you can activate the effect of Omega to banish another, like to banish it, and to banish any card of the opponent's hand openly. So now that you banished Burst, you know your opponent on KASHTIRA, right? So you get information, and even if you get rid of another hand trap, it makes you play through like more interruption, possibly. So let's say we banished a random card from the opponent's hand. Now they only have 2 cards left in their hand. And now you can special summon Fenrir, activate the effect of Fenrir, and maybe they imperm that too, but then they're like literally on 1 card, and for turn they draw another card. But let's say they don't do that, and they you activate the effect of Fenrir. Obviously this plays into Nibiru, so you gotta be careful here. But I think this is something worth doing because, I mean, they have like nothing afterward. Like maybe it's a 1 card combo, but still, you search the Rise Heart, and then you special Rise Heart with the Fenrir, because you're already normal summoned, so it's like you cannot like make SP here, which would be really nice. You normal summon this guy and activate the effect to banish a Burst, for example, because you didn't got that with the Unicorn, and then it's level 7, banishes some face down, and then you just make Shangri-Ira and pass. And Shangri-Ira with Wraith Sauce, it's really strong. And with this, you make a Shangri-Ira, and then the Shangri-Ira is gonna special a Fenrir, so you just get more like things ongoing for you. And obviously the opponent, let's say he draws something for turn. Now the opponent plays with 3 cards against Wraith Sauce, Shangri-Ira, Fenrir. Obviously you have 0 card in hand, but it's still on the Shifter. If he can play through that, congratulations. But you could actually like do way more than you could have done before. And Also important to note, you know what your opponent is like playing, and in the standby phase of the next turn, you get the Omega back. So you can decide to hand loop more, or you can like keep it there as a strong monster because it has 2800 attack, which is strong. But to keep it short, I've tried to find a way to incorporate bricky hands and to make bricky hands strong hands again by using a extra deck card that I haven't seen people playing in KASHTIRA. Anyways, that's it about the extra deck. So let's talk about the side deck for now, because until Reach of the Abyss, I have figured out my side deck, I think, except one card, which is Molchami Purulia, which I don't own because I don't think it will be worth for me money-wise to buy this card. Because Molchami Fuvaros is gonna take the throne of the better card. Yeah, this is a field center, it does not matter. This is a Nibiru token, it does not matter either. These are the two Dracossack tokens, which don't matter either. So the thing is that in the side deck there are 3 spots left for Molchami Fuvaros, and I am still having trouble to figure out which card to take out, and I'll try to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the future until Rage of the Abyss comes out to know what to cut for the Fuvaros, because Fuvaros is obviously going to be a staple side deck card going second, because it just draws you into like your engine, into your non-engine, into your hand traps, into your board breakers and whatnot. It's crazy. Anyways, for the side deck, I play 3 Sphere Mode. The reason why I play Sphere Mode is because Bell is the current like thriving force of the meta, and it just creates boards that are straight up unfair. Let's face it, it's unfair what they like put out. So Sphere Mode is one of these cards that I really like enjoy having, especially against like Snake Eye 2 in the last format, especially like before Bandless, if they didn't OTK you or something, or FTK'd you. But against Bell, I really like this card. Could it get rid of so many problems like by its own. It gets rid of the Phantom of Bell, it gets rid of the Omni-Negate of Aridas, and it gets rid of the Unchained Soul of Reach, which all 3 are like fucking you up really hard. So playing like something that does not play into Promethean Princess, like a Lava Golem, in my opinion is mandatory. And if you draw multiple hand trap together with this guy, you can literally decide to sit on the hand trap, let the enemy cook, wipe his board, and keep the hand trap for follow-up. Because that makes like it very, very easy to like kill the opponent. But yeah, Sphere Mode is something I've tried to like play something else, but I have not found more reason to it like to not cut it. It's really strong and I would like to keep it. Next up, flex spots. I'll keep the flex spots here for now, and talk about them later. And yeah, but I will talk about the mandatory things obviously. So Harpy's Feather Duster. Extremely strong. KASHTIRA really struggles against back row, so having back row removal at hand is incredibly strong and valuable. You already see the next card here, it's more back row removal, and you also saw me doing the flex spot with the Lightning Storm. So back row removal is something that I really enjoy having with KASHTIRA. So going forward in the future, especially with the Bell, like the Bell, how is it called? Opening of the Spirit Gate, the Tenpai Field spell, the one-offs that, like a lot of one-offs that Snake Eye plays. A lot of these things getting punished a lot by Cosmic Cyclone. So yeah, Harpy's Feather Duster together with 3 Cosmic Cyclone is something that I'll obviously keep going forward, because paying 1000 life point does not matter if you can like literally kill their entire play. I keep having to mention this guy, the Melodious guy that I played again today. He played the Pendle card that activates the effect, and that just he thought I had Imperm because I had a set card and I went first, so he thought it was Imperm because we grinded a lot in game 1, so he saw a lot of my cards in the deck, but he only saw Imperm as like trap card. And after siding, he tried to play around the Imperm a little bit, but Once I didn't do the imperm, he was like, okay, this is not an imperm, so it does not matter. And then he just did the couplet, I think it was, in the Pendle Zone, and I just Cosmic Cyclone, and he was like, oh damn, I did not expect that Cosmic Cyclone. And this is something that really catches people off guard, and it's more back row removal paired together with the Feather Duster, so please, I urge you to play Cosmic Cyclone, it's really strong. And yeah, then we have, in my opinion, some non-negotiables, Anti-Spell Fragrance. You can side out a lot of like cards, for example, Talon. Like, people are not gonna play a lot of hand traps, like post-siding, because the board breakers are better. And then if they do that, Talon, for example, can go, if they play a non-graveyard important deck, or if they play no hand traps at all, Caught By can go. And then, so you make usage of like less and less cards being used, like spells cards being used in your deck, so anti-spell gets even stronger. I do have to say though, anti-spell has fucked me once extremely hard and got me like lost me a OTS invite for the European Championship in the next year. However, I would still play it, even though it fucked me up majorly once. It helped me a ton multiple times afterwards and like before that. So even though it sometimes can fuck you, which you should be like careful about, it can still be extremely good because it negates any board breakers. Like Feather Duster doesn't matter. Something like Lightning Storm doesn't matter. Raigeki doesn't matter. Black Hole doesn't matter. So yeah, anti-spell, I think it's something that is, in my opinion, mandatory. Especially with all the like strong spells that are being played right now. And yeah, the strongest side deck card, in my opinion, in Kashtira is Solemn Judgment. It's so strong. Like, this card is insane. Pay half your LP, it doesn't matter. Old man says no, old man says no. And old man has the last word. But on a more serious note, you lose against board breakers, and this guy negates any board breaker. So you just, as you can see, you wanna like try to like minimize like your losses against board breakers, which is why you play the maximum amount of like disruption against board breakers. And also this one, like, the old man says no to her like summons. It can also be normal summons. Like, when old man says no, it's the last word because it's a counter trap, which means they can only respond to with counter traps. So yeah, when old man says no, old man says no. So let's talk about the flex spot, because as you could see, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 spots. And the last remaining 3 slots will be Molchami Fuvaros. Maybe I'll cut the anti-spell fragrance, so we have 10 spots for like a couple of flex spots. I'm not sure, I'll see. What I'm testing right now is more back row removal in the with a Lightning Storm. However, I do not like Lightning Storm at all, so I just tested it out today in the local. It didn't came up because I didn't draw it. I saw it in a couple times, but it didn't draw it. So yeah, I'm probably gonna cut it for something else to test around with. However, Book of Moon is something, until Rage of Abyss comes out, is, in my opinion, a really, really strong piece of interruption that I'll be testing going forward. I've tried it online a couple of times, and it really had hit a lot of decks that are really strong in the format currently. And the funny thing is, it hits them going first and second, so it can also act as a board breaker, funnily enough. Like Varudas, you can do that in the draw phase. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna negate the Book of Moon? And things like that. And what I really like doing against Yubel is Book of Mooning the Phantom of Yubel together with the Varudas, so they have to choose to either not have a monster negate, which is really strong for them, because it acts as follow-up, because it doesn't negate the effect, it changes the effect, or they get rid of the Omni negate, so they have this still live. It's crazy strong, and again, Tenpai, it's also really strong because it like just books them. Obviously, if they have like multiple, they can just synchro them off and respond to your book with another synchro summon. But like if they normal summon Hydra and they don't have the field spell, you can let it go through, it doesn't matter, and then you just Book of Moon it. What are they gonna do? Because they need to do they need to add the Sangan Kaiman then and do the Chandra, and you have like obviously like interruption on your hand. So using the Book of Moon there is also extremely strong. It's also a quick spell, which means if you draw it like going first and they imperm or Valor you can Book of Moon your own Fenrir or Unicorn, which sounds crazy because you don't want these guys to be phased out down. But if it makes you play through Interruption, this is your go-to tool, in my opinion. I'll try this as 3 in until Rage of the Abyss comes out, just to see how good of a board breaker and how good of a interruption it is. But I feel like it's not bad. But obviously some of these slots have to go. I think Solemn Judgment, Cosmic Cyclone, the Feather Duster, and some amount of like tributes are mandatory. Maybe you only play 2 Sphere mode, but when you wanna see this guy, you wanna see it at all times. So, but maybe it's something like this, and then you play the anti-spell and only 2 Book of Moon or something like that, and then this is Small Zombie Fuvaros. Maybe it's gonna look like that. I cannot tell you it now. I can just tell you what I have in the side deck currently and how I will try to like play around it going forward. But yeah, I hope this showcase and a detailed walkthrough and talking about the Kashtira deck that I play, the current iteration that I play, has helped you a little bit. And maybe you wanna like copy the deck. I don't mind this. If you have any questions, then please leave them down in the comment below or join my Discord. I'm usually online at all times, so you can write in the Yu-Gi-Oh channel or in the general channel and give me a message or write me a direct message. I'll also always answer those comments and direct messages if I get them. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this kind of like video. It was a very long one, but I thought I want to talk about my deck very thoroughly, because I feel like the deck deserves it. It's a really, really strong deck if you give it to the right player, I think. And I've played Kashtira a lot now in the recent weeks and months, and I've really grown attached to that deck. And I think because I've seen tier list videos made by people, I think Kashtira is extremely underrated, and people just don't see the strength of the deck. They only see the weaknesses, but those can be fixed, in my opinion, with the current with the right cards. But yeah, I don't want to drag this video out any longer. If you like those kind of videos, then please leave a comment down below. And until then, I wish you a very great day and see ya until the next video. Goodbye.